Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be doing a quick get ready with me today on this look. So stick around. Hey guys, I'm starting out with a clean bare face. I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty Complexion Perfection Pre-Makeup Base to prime my face a little bit and kind of fill in some of the pores that I have going on right now. I really like this primer. It's really kind of moisturizing as well as pore filling a little bit. It feels like when you're applying it, it definitely has silicone dimethicone in it because it has like that slick slip feeling on your face, but I like that, and it does a really nice job of filling in the pores, and it does not peel up, and that's huge. Also, I like to put the primer a little bit under my eyes and on top, just because it does fill in a little bit of kind of like the finer lines around. Makes it a little bit more of a smoother process whenever you are applying your concealer and powders. Also, it smells pretty damn awesome. It has that same foundation smell, but it's a little bit more of a gentle fragrance. But I do love the fragrance of it, so I don't mind it whatsoever. So for foundation today, I'm going to be using the Bobbi Brown Nude Finish Tinted Moisturizer in light medium. This was a pretty awesome find at TJ Maxx for 20 bucks. I did swatch the color. It seems like it works really well, but we'll see how well it actually does cover, because I think it's just going to be like a very sheer light cover. And here's the product. So it's relatively thick. It's not kind of slipping off, but we shall see. The sponge I'm using today is the Sonia Kashuk. Let me get that out of the way because it's bugging me. It's the Sonia Kashuk sponge. I got it at Target. It was 2 for $10, which is actually not a bad deal. The packaging looks like this. They also have a singlet for $7. This one was $10. And this sponge is gigantic. It's literally, it covers a third of my face with every pounce. But enough about the sponge. Let's get into this foundation. I always, regardless if it's tinted moisturizer or if it's full foundation, bring it a little bit underneath my neck with whatever is left on the sponge. It is a bit of a nuisance because every so often it'll rub off on clothes, but you know, just keep your neck up. But doing that kind of gets rid of a little bit of the blending issue that you might have. So if somebody's looking at you from a side profile, they don't see like foundation color and then bare naked neck color. So they see a little bit more of a smoother transition. And then of course, always you try to put foundation as close as possible to your hairline. Just be cautious if it ever gets on your hair to kind of wipe it off, because it does look a little bit odd if it isn't blended out. And I do have, you know how some people say, oh, I have a 5 head? I think I have a 2 head. I have a very small forehead. So whenever it comes to blending it in, I try to get it in as close as possible, so it's not too obvious that I have a little forehead. And there's no color variation. So let me take a look at this and see how this is looking. Oh, this is actually pretty awesome. It literally covered maybe a third of what I would like it to, but it is earlier in the day, in the afternoon, so I'm not really looking for anything heavy. I'm just looking for a sheer wash of kind of color correcting and color tone addition to my skin tone, so it all looks very fluid. But I will be adding a little bit of concealer, and as you do that, you kind of blend it in a little to your cheeks, so it's a little bit easier to kind of make it look a little bit more heavier coverage than that is. So I'm okay with having that. For concealer, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in light beige. I really like this one. I really like the fat wand. Before this, I was using the Tarte Shape Tape quite regularly. But when I ran out of this, or run out of the tape shape, I started to, or shape tape, I started to use this, and it's pretty awesome. I really like it, but I've seen people say that, oh, it's so significantly different than Tarte Shape Tape, and you know, one is better than the other. Maybe, but for me, on my skin, it's pretty much the same thing. I don't really see a significant variation in from this one, or is it, to the Tarte Shape Tape. So it's very similar. Both do the exact same thing as far as coverage goes. It's not like one is significantly more coverage friendly than the other. But using the sponge again, I'm going to go and blend this out. For setting my entire face as well as my under eye, I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty baking powder in Pound Cake. I've been using this since I got it about 2 weeks ago, and I really do enjoy it. It's pretty awesome. It does what it's supposed to, and it doesn't kick up, it doesn't look funny, it doesn't look weird, and I can actually use it all day long, and it doesn't bother my face at all, and I don't get creasing in my laugh lines like I tend to do. So once I'm done using the tapered highlighter F35 brush from Sigma, my under eye and general T-zone of my face, I usually like to jump to a much larger, fatter brush just to kind of softly disperse the product on my face. This is the Wet n Wild brush, I guess, powder brush. It came in a nice big set for like $20 or $30 a little while back, but this is pretty much the only one I use. But you can use any big fat brush to kind of disperse it. This one has kind of a very fluffy bristle, and it's not dense whatsoever, so it kind of disperses product quite well dry. And the way I like to use this brush with the Huda powder is pretty much how you would with Bare Minerals, where you just kind of tap it in very lightly, dump some off, and then just, you would buff it with the Bare Minerals, but with this one I just directly apply it to my face, because then it kind of blends in very easily. Of course, along with the powder, you do want to set a little bit of the neck space that you did put the product on or the foundation onto, just so that doesn't move and kind of rub off and transfer on everything as well. And then what I usually like to do whenever I'm kind of done putting on powder and foundation, I will go back with the damp sponge and just kind of pounce it on a little bit. This helps to melt the powder onto your face, and you have a much more seamless and well blended look. So it does not get cakey, not to mention it helps set everything into place and kind of make sure that everything is nice and even and you don't have too much powder in one space versus the other. Okay, since that's done, now on to my least favorite part of makeup, brows. I did have my brows about 2 years ago microbladed, but that is beginning to fade, and now I have, let me get a little bit closer. I have these very weird kind of dark purple lines that are pretty hideous, I think. So I have to apply some kind of eye product all the time, otherwise it just looks funky. So let me zoom you guys back out. Okay. So the product I'm using, like always, is the ColourPop Brow Boss in dark brown. I really like this one. It stays all day, it doesn't budge, and it does exactly what I need it to, which is give me some kind of hair that isn't purple or red. So now to set my brows, I'm going in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel, the best brow gel ever made on this planet Earth. If you have something better, comment below. I'm kind of curious to see what else options are out there aside from ColourPop and aside from some of the Essence products or Benefit. I'm kind of curious to see who else has really good clear brow gel. I like the fact that it feels like hairspray on my eyebrows. I feel like that makes it stick and it isn't going to move, so I'm totally cool with that feeling. But I know some people are kind of a little bit weirded out by that. So what I like to do is I just brush it up a little bit and pull it to the side so the hairs are kind of up but kind of not, so it has like a bit of a featherier look. I wish I had more brow hair. I wish I had more brow hair. I wish I could have been like those girls that have so much brow hair that are always complaining about it, because I barely have brow hair. And whatever I do have, I tease and comb and fluff just to have them stand up a little bit so it looks like I do have some format of brows. I like the big brow look, but it takes just too much time for me to kind of work towards that and have it all the time. Okay, so I'm going to do my face now before I jump into the eyeshadow. For my face, I'm going to be using for bronzer the Smashbox, the Cali Contour. I've been using this for about 2 months now. I have literally no dents in the product because I'm super gentle with my items, but I really love this. Even for travel, it's perfect. It comes with a gorgeous contour, bronzer, blush, 2 highlights. One is a little bit of a lighter color and the other one is a little bit of a deeper shade. And then the setting powder. I haven't touched the setting powder very much, but the bronzer and blush as well as this highlight for my skin tone are perfection. So I'm going to be taking the Morphe E3, just a big fluffy brush to bronze up my face and to give a little bit more color back to my face since I kind of took it all out with foundation and powder. I like to apply bronzers usually in kind of like the 3 format, the OG Bare Minerals format of putting it on. I usually start here and then whatever dusting is left on my brush, I do like to take it up here. I do have a very little tiny forehead, but still I feel like if I don't blend it up into my hairline a little bit and kind of contour it down, it just looks a little bit odd because then you have like nice golden bronze cheeks and like a naked forehead, and then whatever is left thereafter, I just like to take it and kind of run it along my jawline and down, because this makes it look like natural light. The way it hits your face, it kind of gives you a little bit of a shadow down here, so doing this with the bronzer brings that shadow back so it looks more of a sleek and slim neck, similar to kind of like highlighting your collarbone, same thought process. So for my blush, I'm going to be using the blush that comes in the palette, which is down here. I'm going to be using the Morphe E4 blush brush for that. One of my favorite blush brushes. I haven't used anything in like 2 years besides this brush. So just tap a little bit, tap off the excess, your little happy smile, cheek face, and blend. With blush, always kind of start up here, because you don't want to put the heaviest amount of pigment right here because then it gives you too much and it's very difficult to blend out because your skin kind of really quickly attaches to that powder and it's very hard to blend out. But doing it in this format and kind of pouncing it a little bit on your face makes it much easier for the product to kind of blend in with your powder, your foundation, your skin, as well as the bronzer. So for highlight today, I'm going to be using my current favorite, the I Love Sarai and Dose of Colors in Soulmate. It looks much darker in the pan than it actually comes off on your skin. So what I like to do, just because it is a little bit of a thicker formula, I tend to use a kind of more dense brush so I can really kind of melt it and blend it into my skin versus using something like, for example, this, which is the Morphe R, I can't tell which one it is anymore, but it's from the Rose Gold collection. I think it's Morphe R05 or R36, but it's more of kind of a looser set brush. So it kind of distributes color, but it doesn't really blend it into your skin. But something that is a little bit more kind of packed and dense, like this one, really distributes and kind of helps melt it into your skin. and then gently just blend it in and out. I prefer to have a little bit of glow right here, so when I smile it does this, versus kind of just being a little bit more matte. I prefer that, but you can always keep it just right here. I will go back in with my blush brush and just tap it in. For my nose contour, I usually like to use a tapered brush like this, so it's a little bit more angled, so it just kind of applies it and blends it out very easily. And this is the Luxie 207 medium angled shading brush. So I will go in very, very gently, tap off majority of the product, and then kind of, if you were to blow your nose, you would kind of suck it in a little bit. So just suck in your nose a little bit, and then take the product. And as you stare straight, you can see a bit of a shadow happening. Just follow the line of the shadow and kind of deepen that a little bit. And I always like to bring it in a little bit here into the inner corner where your eyebrow and your nose connect, because then it gives you a nice shape to follow down with. There's a million and one formats of nose contour. I'm not a makeup artist, so please, by all means, experiment and see whatever works for you. Eventually, you will find a style of contouring your nose that does fit your needs on a daily. So once again, I'm going to come down in a straight line. Then before I begin to blend, I like to take whatever is kind of residue is left on here and clean it off on one of these sponge cleaning devices. This one I got from TJ Maxx for, I think, $2. It's called the Clean Sweep. But the original idea, as far as I know, came from Veramona. And her sponge does feel a little bit different. You can tell that this one's more of a cheapier one and doesn't really take up all of the product, but I haven't had a chance to repurchase the new cleaning apparatus from Veramona. So then I will take kind of the clean brush and I will begin to blend. You always want to blend up and not down, because you don't want to bring shadow here, because then it's going to make it look white. So you want to always blend up. And don't overblend. I used to overblend and it would kind of disappear. So wherever I applied the product, it would just be gone after a few swipes. So once again, you want to blend the tip to make your upper lip, or I'm sorry, your bottom lip look a little bit fuller. If you take a touch of it, see, without it, there's like a little bit of shadow happening. But if you take a touch of contour powder and you apply it right down here, just super, super slightly, it gives it a more powderier look. Same thing, that's why you apply highlight up here, so it can give it a more fuller, plumpier look. So putting a little bit of contour powder down here, or contour cream, would give you that full effect. To highlight my nose today, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Amrezy highlight. God damn, this is gorgeous. So I like to take a very small amount on my finger. It's barely noticeable, and then even that I like to shear down, and then just right here in the center I like to apply it. So it kind of looks like it's a natural light shadow hitting your nose. Every so often I will put a very small amount on the tip of my nose to kind of make it glow a little bit. But I know Wayne Goss is like super anti any highlight in this region, just because it could, if you do it incorrectly, it could make your nose look a little bit more bulbous. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of the point of contouring and highlighting is to make it look slimmer and more dimensional naturally. But if you do add the highlight to the tip of the nose a little bit too heavily, it kind of takes away from the effect you're trying to have. And I always like to blend. And then when I'm done with my nose contour, just to make sure that it is very kind of sealed and there's no extra powder and it looks natural, I do like to take the sponge again and kind of dab off and make sure the powder is kind of very seamlessly blended onto my nose. There you go. And for eyeshadow today, I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. This palette literally has everything you need for any look you can possibly think of, and I really do enjoy the quality of it. This is, I think, one of the best quality eyeshadow palettes I've purchased in a while from Urban Decay. And here are all the colors. For For blending, I'm going to be using the Moda Pro BMX 430 crease brush. This came in a boxy charm a little bit while back. So I think I'm going to start with the color Weekender, just very gently. This color is maybe a shade or two darker than my natural skin tone, so this helps for me personally just blend all of the creasing that happens after I apply concealer and powder, just because you are blinking and you haven't fully set it yet. So this process of putting on a very similar bone type shade helps me blend that away, so it looks a little bit more natural and I don't have the creasing, because I might be using a little bit of glitter today. So then I'm going to go into the color Riff, or R-I-F-F. I'm blending that into my crease. The way I like to apply shadow is I place it here and then I drag it in. I want the heaviest saturation of color to be out here, because that's going to be easiest for me to blend, versus if you start here, you're going to put all of the darkness here, so the most pigmentation is going to be kind of stuck in that space regardless of your blending. As Jaclyn Hill says, blend till your hands hurt, girl. And then when you have extremely small quantity of product on the brush, just tap it off again and just kind of go and blend the edging. You can do this with a cream shade under your brow, but I don't really like to highlight that space very often. Last thing I want to do is attract more attention to my little brows, but that's how I like to kind of blend it in, so it all kind of flows a little bit more smoothly. And then to darken up the crease a little bit, I'm going to be going in with Good As Gone, which is a gorgeous dark chocolate shade. And I just did one quick tap into the product just to make sure I don't start off with too much, because this palette is pretty heavily pigmented. And then once again, you place it here, you kind of drag it in a little bit. And whenever I am building and whenever I am adding a little bit more pigment and slowly kind of gradually developing it, I always like to use a fluffy brush. I have more control that way, and it's smoother because I don't want it to be super saturated whenever I am placing color. I almost want it to be like my eyes are naturally shaded as such. And then you drag it in. And then it has like a nice smooth transition between this one to this one. And once again, one tap into the product, tap off the excess, put it in the corner, blend, blend, and then drag in. To be using Stranded or Smog. I'm going to be using Smog, which is a dirty gold shade. Accidental swatch. I really like that color. More metallic or shimmer shades, I like to use either the shader brush from e.l.f. or I will just straight go into and use my finger to apply. This way I have a little bit more control and I don't have to worry about fallout most of the time. So I'm just applying this in my inner center of the eye and then blending it both ways, because I do want the entire lid to be coated in this, but slightly. I don't want it to be too heavily saturated. And then always, once again, place color in the middle. Make sure the highest saturation is right in the middle, and then just with your finger, using my ring finger, you just blend it to the left and to the right. And then always rub it against the very bed where your lashes and your lid connect, and make sure to get powder right in there, because otherwise it's gonna, when you put mascara on, and lashes and this and that, there is a bit of a separation. You can see that. So kind of doing this, make sure powder is in that space so it blends much smoother and it looks more seamless. I'm sorry, but is that not the prettiest dirty gold shade ever, or bronzy gold shade? And then when I'm done applying it, either I will go in with a blender brush or a shader brush and just kind of circle out and make sure that the blending of my finger is a little bit smoother of a transition. For my lower lash line, I'm pretty much going to be doing the same process. I'm going to be applying Good As Gone, which was the dark chocolate brown shade, with the Morphe E11 liner brush. So when it comes to my bottom lash line, what I like to do is place the darkest shade first, and then go in with a smaller brush like this one, which is the Morphe E36 brush. I know that Makeup Geek has a really awesome one too. And then I like to take Riff, which was the tan orange shade, to kind of blend out the harsh dark brown line that we put. And I really like my lower lash line to look pretty blown out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And then for my inner corner, what I'm going to do is use the Stila Glitter and Glow in Diamond Dust, which is a gorgeous silver glitter with purple and green and gold and silver flecks. What else am I seeing? Blue, green, yellow. It has almost every color you can think of within it. So it's always, whenever you're doing a simpler look, I like to put a little bit of extra pizzazz in the inner corner to kind of spice it up a little bit. And then to do that, I'm going to clean off my brush, my little Morphe E36. I'm going to apply a little dot and then blend it in with the brush. If you really want to make the glitter pop, you can put a highlighter or light golden shade, light white shade down first, and that will really make it pop, but I wanted it to be a little bit more controlled today. Boom! And then for mascara, I'm going to go in with the Elcie mascara in color black. This is the Lashful mascara. I still really love and enjoy using this mascara. I just wish the stopper that's inside when you pull out the product didn't grab as much mascara, so it'd be a little bit easier and you wouldn't have to clean off the edging. Whenever you get a little bit of mascara touching your skin, what I like to do personally, in addition to majority of mascaras I do apply, for some reason I always have to hit right here, but the band of my lashes and my lid. So what I like to do is I just kind of take care of other parts of my face that I'm working on, and then once it dries up, I just go in with a Q-tip type like this, where it has a pointier edge as well as a kind of thinner fat edge. I got a pack of these from Sephora, but I know that they sell them at Walgreens and CVS as well. And then I'll just go in and kind of very slightly, just gently rub off the dry mascara bits. But we'll let that sit for a minute to dry up a little bit. So for lips today, I'm going to be using the new Huda Beauty Demi Matte Cream Lipstick in the color Feminist. I've really been enjoying these. They're so easy to put on and they wear very well, and then when it is kind of fading off a little bit, it does fade nicely, so it doesn't leave like a weird white kind of crease in your mouth. So I really do enjoy using these for every day. And then one of the things I really do enjoy about the wand on this is that the tip of it, right there, is kind of sharp enough where you can go in and very easily outline the edging of your lip with less product to give it a crisper, cleaner look. And then lastly, today I'm going to be setting my face with MAC Fix Plus. And I like to be extra and use the fan. And then lastly, to finish everything off, we're going to go back with the little tiny Q-tip and kind of clean up any of the mascara bits that got stuck on the lid. And it just very easily glides it off. You don't have to rub it very hard. You don't have to move majority of the skin around your lid, so it isn't going to cause wrinkles by any means because you're being super gentle. So since I apply mascara like a 5-year-old child, I put it on pretty much all over my face, and I hope to get some on my lashes. And this is the finished look. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching this Get Ready with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye!